You are listening to a special edition of the IU Report with Grant Shouse and Mike Hutsell. Their reaction to Indiana's 100-77 win over Marquette at the United Center on Sunday. Only on the Central Indiana Sports Report. Welcome, Hoosier fans, to a special edition of the IU Report with Grant Shouse and Mike Hutsell. Their reaction to Indiana's 100-77 win over Marquette at the United Center. Mike Hutsell was there. Grant Shouse, of course, watched on TV. And about to get their reaction. But what I want to know first is, does this mean that the Indiana-Purdue rivalry is back on, Mike?
It's still got a little ways to go, but at least Indiana is going to have an entertaining brand of basketball to bring to it. It's not going to be, not to face it, the last 8 years, we've talked about it ad nauseum at this point, has just been so freaking frustrating to watch. And Archie had never beat Purdue, famously. Woodson actually had success against Purdue, but Indiana's got to get back.
Squirrel finds a nut.
But no, it's fun to watch this team, point blank, and it'll be fun to see how they progress. There were some things that you saw today, and we'll talk more during the season, that'll be concerns, I think, that could linger from now till March. But if you score in basketball, you can overcome a lot of things, and this team is going to be able to score in basketball. So just a really, really good day to be a Hoosier fan.
I mean, they've already scored almost 200 points on the season through 2 games. They're averaging nearly 100 points per game. That's pretty impressive. Again, it's only the first 2 games, but that's a quality win over what's probably going to end up being a quality opponent later on. Now, you got to think about it with Marquette. They're trying to navigate with losing Cam Jones to the NBA, losing a guy like David Joplin, who's playing overseas, a couple other pieces from when they went to the NCAA tournament last year. So they're trying to navigate all that while Indiana's got this fresh new roster that plays well together. You can see the chemistry's there amongst everyone in the program. You don't have assistants being shunned behind closed doors, probably. You don't have a head coach whose ego is unbelievably large, and that's a promising sign for Indiana basketball to start. Is the rivalry back with them and Purdue? I mean, they haven't even played each other yet. Had that win against Evansville earlier in the week. I know they kind of struggled with Oakland. But that Purdue team, I think, would have done the same thing to Marquette today. I think Indiana's a good team, but I'm not entirely sold quite yet. I was pleased today. I was pleased on Wednesday after the Alabama A&M game, but it's still, I don't think, real yet. I think there's a lot of work to be done. There's a lot of things that need to be proven here at the start of the year, and I think they will get proven if they can continue what they've done in these last 2 games. Then there's no question. I think that they're going to be a team to look out for.
Yeah, absolutely. It's still cautious optimism to be a fan right now, but this game was the hurdle in the early season schedule. And now you can realistically look at the schedule and say 9-0 going into Louisville. It looks pretty promising. And that Louisville game is looming pretty large because that's a legitimate top 5, top 10 team going into that. So, but like I talked about a few minutes ago, that game was ragged, and there was 3 people making it. So everybody who paid today to go watch 3 officials completely try to take over got what their money's worth. But with the foul trouble Indiana faced, first half, Reed Bailey was out with 3 fouls less than 4 minutes in the game. Taden Conaway, the best point guard they have, he went to the bench with 3 fouls. And that would have gutted teams from Indiana in the past to lose guys like that. But what you saw tonight was Tucker DeVries just absolutely took over the first half of that game. And then he got in foul trouble. He got his fourth foul pretty early in the second half. And then what happens? You think Marquette's going to go on a run. They got it down to 10 once, but then Lamar Wilkerson just takes over and he starts just splashing threes left and right. So the best mascara in basketball is shooting and scoring. Everybody who says you want to be a great defensive team, you can be a great defensive team, but if you can't put 60 points on the board, it might not matter. Indiana had 80 points with 10 minutes to go in the game. That's nuts.
That is nuts.
That's efficiency at its best. And not only do you have the two guys who you expect to score 18 to 22 points a game now, you see these other guys who are capable. They're not necessarily going to do it every night. You had Trent Sisley, 13 points tonight. Where'd that come from? He looked completely overmatched against Baylor. But this is a team that's very athletic, very long, difficult to guard. But Sisley gets out on the break a few times. He didn't knock down the perimeter shot, but he put points up. And Connor Enright, I know I made fun of him in the last show, but he's already got a legendary moment in his Indiana career, hitting that half-court shot right before the horn expired for the first half. Keeps going back to it was a fun day to be in the arena. The mood was light. The Marquette fans were cool. They were like, boy, you guys just pretty much beat our ass. And they did.
I was going to ask you, Mike, what was the contingency of IU fans there today?
It was, I'd say, 60-40 Indiana over Marquette as far as total
That's what I
fans.
thought.
You know, there were some patches in the end zone balcony that were absolutely empty. I was not even close to being a sellout. But you got to remember, one of the trademarks of the Mike Woodson era was these neutral court games where the fans would get excited to play a higher level opponent. They'd go to those games and they'd lose by 30. So again, the Indiana fans are feeling a little burnt out and still trying to win back their faith. Well, you actually went a little ways towards that again today, because the people that were there, I guaranteed, enjoyed every minute of being there. It was fun. It was just a completely different experience than what we've been going through over the last few years.
And props to both head coaches, Darren DeVries and Shaka Smart, for getting this game on the schedule in Chicago. Indiana has the largest alumni base in the country. You've heard Sig talk about that a lot. They have one of the largest alumni bases in the country, and a lot of those alumni are in Chicago. The business people, they end up in Chicago. There's a lot of Indiana alumni in that area. And then Marquette is only an hour and a half drive, maybe hour and 15 minutes up the road. There was a good chance that crowd was going to be there like that, to be out and support the team. I'm sure there's a lot of Marquette fans probably in Chicago, being that close to Milwaukee. So, again, props to them for meeting on the neutral floor there in Chicago. And Indiana, we've seen on neutral floors here in the last few years, especially with Mike Woodson, have been bad. Like the NCAA tournament, they've been bad a couple times. Then when they've been in it, the Big Ten tournament has been brutal. When they play a game at Gainbridge against Harvard and there's 4,000 fans there in a 17,000 arena, they've been bad. And today, that didn't seem to be the case. I mean, this is the first time an Indiana team has scored at least 100 points since the Tom Crean era. There have been two coaches since then. And by the way, for him to be on the call of this game today was a nice little treat, I think, for both fan bases that got to sit at home and watch it. He's one of the best in the industry. He's one of the best analysts in the industry, I think. And he did a phenomenal job today, told great stories. He actually spent some time there at the beginning talking about Indiana football and talking about Kurt Signetti. So that was pretty cool. You know, the Tom Crean Invitational, and Indiana just happened to dominate it today.
I'll go tell Coach Crean he did a nice job on Twitter, but he still has me blocked, so I can't chime in and tell him how great he was. And
Why
I
do you
I
block
saw
you?
I saw that graphic, and I think I sent it to you about the 100-point club. Woodson did get to 100 a couple of times,
That's right.
so
That's true.
I don't think that was
But that's the
completely
field of
accurate. Now, if that's
68.
accurate, that's the first time anybody scored 100 points on Shaka Smart. That's pretty bold. That's pretty wild.
But that's the field of 68 posting that. So you got to kind of take that with a grain of salt, I suppose.
Could have been an intern or something. So, but hey, we'll take anything that makes Indiana look positive. We'll take it because it's been tough to find. And you talk about neutral court games, and you mentioned Harvard and the Big Ten tournament, and I'd forgotten about those. Like,
Yeah.
Avery, my son, and I were at the Oregon game last year where I think they put 57 on the board in the first round of the Big Ten tournament. I was thinking more along the lines of, when they went to Atlanta and played Auburn, and all those IU fans were in Atlanta, made that trip, and it was a 36-point game with like 13 minutes to go. It was just never competitive. And then I think about when Trace and Xavier Johnson and that team went to Las Vegas and played Arizona. They got ran. They made a little bit of a comeback in the second half of that game, but it was not a competitive basketball game. In the NCAA tournament, you're absolutely right. The 2 losses that Woodson had in that, they looked like they quit with about 10 minutes to play, and just so disheartening.
And don't forget the trip down to the Bahamas last year.
Wow.
Full game.
What a debacle. Not just the Louisville, you had the Marquette game. Eventually they played a Providence team that at that point in the season, I think a good junior high team might have given run to because of the injuries and everything Providence had. Woodson cared as much about recruiting as he did neutral court games, apparently. And they were a pain point for the fan base. So that's another thing. What a weekend. You get your first win in Happy Valley in football, and you actually go blow somebody out for once on a neutral court as opposed to being the team that gets laughed at walking off the court.
And that's the next thing. Well, there's 2 things I wanted to ask you. And the first one is, why does Tom Crean have you blocked on Twitter?
It's one of Twitter's great mysteries. I've got a list, an impressive list of people who have blocked me through the years. Tom Crean, my starting 5, I think: Tom Crean, Jason Whitlock, Elizabeth Warren,
the senator or the
senator. The senator from Massachusetts has me blocked.
I need the stories to all of these blockings.
I would love to know some of them myself. Scarlett Johansson, not quite sure about that one.
Scarlett Johansson?
I've never said anything bad about the lady. But my personal favorite, and one that my son is going to laugh at when I say it here in the hotel with me, Denny's. I'm blocked by Denny's on Twitter.
At least you're not blocked by Waffle House.
I'm a Waffle House enthusiast because of how much I hate Denny's. Moon's over my hammy, my ass.
There is no Denny's in Bloomington, though, so.
Well, that's good.
A nice little breakfast diner there.
There's one in Scottsburg, and let me tell you, like I've said about the Waffle House in Scottsburg, I'm sure it's seen some things.
Unreal, dude. The second thing, Mike, I wanted to ask you, I know that we're reacting to this Marquette game, but what's your thought on yesterday in Happy Valley?
I was at the airport, and I was not in a good mood. They did what Indiana's done in the past in games, and they just let a team hang around just enough, and they made just enough mistakes where it looked like, holy shit, this is the Indiana football we've remembered. They're playing a team they should be beating. They let them stick around. now it's going to end up burning them. And you talk about a legacy moment for Fernando, and I still don't know how that catch was physically possible.
Unreal.
When I watched it, as soon as I watched it and he called it, I was like, that's never going to stand up on replay. There's no physical way when the guy pushed him out of bounds, the guy did exactly what he should have done. He pushed him out, and how he got that foot down and I thought the dumbest rule in football was going to come into play because I thought the heel was going to come down out of bounds, but he actually got the heel in. It's a moment that Indiana fans, especially if this team accomplishes anything close to what they think they're capable of doing, we'll talk about that's a remember where you are moment as a fan.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I was sitting outside gate B17 watching on my little iPhone here with Avery and a guy across the aisle from me. And I think he was slightly ahead of me because he asked me, what down are you on? And I said, third. He said, you're about to be happy. And
wow.
And I did not think that was going to stand through replay. And by God, if it absolutely did.
I couldn't believe it either. I was incredibly disappointed when it looked like they were going to lose the game. But I weirdly had a feeling when they got the ball back, I know they had no timeouts, but when they got the ball back, I thought to myself, you know what? Maybe there's a chance here. Now they got to go the length of the field, but maybe there's a chance because we've seen Indiana football put together a couple drives where, like at the end of halves, where they've been able to go down and get in field goal range. A field goal wasn't going to cut it, but they've gotten yards downfield to get into field goal range to set them up with not a whole lot of time. They put drives together at the end of halves to go down and score a touchdown. They did it in that game. They did it in the Maryland game. They did it in the I can't remember what game it was. They did it in the Oregon game.
They did it in the Iowa game.
Yeah, they've done it multiple times. So I thought to myself, if they can get down here and get into solid range here, Fernando's got the arm, and we have the receivers to get a ball in the end zone comfortably from 30, 35 yards away. And they got him just right down where they want him, where when Becker made the catch, he mosses the dude from Penn State and makes the grab. I thought to myself, yeah, there's no way they're losing this game. All the momentum immediately swung to Indiana. It's a remember where you were moment. And Omar Cooper, his Kodak moment, that was just unbelievably impressive. And talk about Charlie Becker, man. Making that grab.
That catch was almost as good.
If they score on a little dump down over the middle where there's no question it's a touchdown, then that's the play of the game. Charlie Becker's catch. The underrated play of the game that is going to go kind of forgotten about was the throw downfield to Riley Nowakowski to set them up in the plus territory. That's the play that people are always going to forget about. But that play set them up for success to get them inside. I think it was the 30 or down to about the 25. And then they hit Becker for the catch. And then a couple plays later, we know what happens. Omar Cooper makes the catch. But think about it. Penn State had two opportunities there to force a turnover. The pass right before the touchdown was so close to being intercepted, guys. I mean, I remember like holding my breath, like, because I thought that because when I got batted in the air, it hung there, and I was like, that's getting picked, and it just dropped. And thank God it did. But that's what championship teams do. All the people are going to talk crap about how Indiana, oh, well, Penn State should have won. Yeah, no kidding, Penn State should have won. Yeah, absolutely. I 100% agree with you there. But Penn State had, 82 yards? Not 82, like 80, 75 yards to stop Indiana. They had all that time to stop Indiana and get them off the field and force a turnover and try and get the ball back or turnover on downs and all that. So it's just an improbable win. And Penn State, even though they're not the team they were at the beginning of the year, they still have the athletes that they had. So if we're going to discredit Indiana's win over Penn State, then we need to discredit Alabama's win over South Carolina. We need to discredit.
It was a great win, guys. Come on. It was a great win.
This league is so deep that Penn State still is a good team, and they're the best 3-6 team in the country.
It was fun. It was good to get a game against a quality opponent, a Big East opponent, a team that's regularly in March Madness, and just kind of an enjoyable time with a fan base that you don't really see a whole lot of. It was very civil. Both teams were there to have fun. No trash talk, no pushing people down the escalator when the game was over. It was just Marquette admitting, yeah, you absolutely killed us. Good luck the rest of the year. I hope like hell Marquette has a great season now, because when it comes to March, if you have a 23-point win and they're the second best team in the Big East, third best team in the Big East, that's going to look awfully daggone good on your resume. So good luck to Marquette the rest of the year. It was a lot of fun. Good meeting some of y'all, and let's build off this as an Indiana team and get ready for that Louisville game, because there's not a team in the country I would love to beat more than the Louisville effing Cardinals.
And the Kentucky Wildcats.
I'll take Louisville, man. You don't understand. You don't understand until you live with them.
Still Kentucky. I've lived with all of them, and Kentucky's the worst to me.
And that thing is, Indiana will have another crack at another Power 4, Power 5 opportunity with Kansas State in a few weeks at Assembly Hall. That'll be another test right before the Louisville game. Now, Indiana, I think, will win that game, especially if they keep playing the way they have. But that would be another decent add to your resume if you can pull that one off. Teams to beat Indiana, I think, are going to have to score a ton of points. If Indiana's hitting shots every night, then they're going to have to do everything they can to stay with them. So Indiana.
One concern that I do have coming out of this game is Indiana has to get healthy. They've got to get bodies out on the court, man, because there was a stretch there at the end of the first half. Tucker had not come off the court, and you probably couldn't see it watching it, but he was absolutely on fumes. And a few people in our section were like, man, that guy is gassed. And then, of course, he stepped up and just drained a 3 right after we said it. So he obviously found a little bit left in the tank. But you had, on the second game of the year in November, Lamar Wilkerson's putting up 38 minutes. That's not sustainable. They need their backcourt depth to come in. They need Nick Dorn. They need Jason Drake. They need these guys. And they don't have anybody. Reed Bailey, God love the guy, the fourth Zeller brother, but he's not an interior guy. They've got to have, and he got in foul trouble so quick because he just could not handle any sort of physicality in the post. So other than Sam Alexis, there's not a lot behind him. You got to get Harris, and Harris doesn't look close. He's on crutches. He's in a boot. So I don't know. It's probably too late to fix that issue, but you've got to get bodies back, because if you're running up huge mileage numbers before January, before you get into the depths of the Big Ten, then you're really going to start running the odometer on some of these guys. This team I can see this team wear down over the course of a year.
I would agree with you there. I think you hit the nail on the head pretty much. Got to get healthy. And if Indiana can get healthy and stay healthy, then I think they're going to be a tough team to beat in the Big Ten. Oh, Mike, you probably didn't hear this because you're at the game, of course. And I don't know if Greg heard it, but I thought this was a nice nugget from Tom Crean at the start of the broadcast, that when Tom Crean worked at Pitt and was an assistant coach at Pitt for basketball, Kurt Signetti also worked there at Pitt and was an assistant football coach at the time. And he said they got to work together on a couple projects and knew each other there a little bit there at the University of Pittsburgh. So and he could see how dialed in that dude is, and you could tell from just back then on how great of a coach he was going to be. I just thought that was a nice nugget for people listening if they missed that. But that is, I think, those are kind of things I like to hear. Those are the cooler things. So thought I'd point that out.
That's cool. Maybe I'll reach out to Tom and we can meet up at Denny's and talk about it a little bit further. So
Could do some shopping at the Bloomington Walmart after.
Yeah, right. hit the Walmart.
with Elizabeth Warren and Tom Crean.
Yeah. Talk about Elizabeth Warren's policies.
Which I'm sure you love.
Oh, absolutely.
And who doesn't love Elizabeth Warren, Susie? Thank you so much to Mike and Grant for joining us. Always appreciate it. Always a lot of fun listening in on their podcast. And thank you for listening. Please do us a huge favor and share this podcast with a Hoosier fan in your life and help us spread the word that the Central Indiana Sports Report is here talking about Central Indiana sports every single day. Oh, and if you like the podcast, hit the like. It really helps. I know it sounds silly. People say, oh, hit the like, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, it really does help. If you're interested in helping us spread the podcast, the like button does help. It sounds stupid, but it does. I don't think I ever once hit a like button on YouTube because I didn't think it does anything but stroke people's ego. But it really does spread the podcast around. So I don't need my ego stroked, but I do want people to listen to the podcast. I guess that's kind of the same thing, isn't it?
Chickens have really come back to roost on that one.
That's right. I should have hit the like button. The Central Indiana Sports Report is a product of ITG Media. And I love Susie. That's exactly why.